Okay, picking up on Chapter 8 from Ender's Game. What are some scare tactics that are used on some of the launchies who practice with Ender? They've been slapped around in the bathroom, having accidents in the next hall, the game room, the files on their computers that have been trashed by the older boys, the security systems on the computers. Ender talks about it being very easy to get into. He creates his own security system around his computer because he's worried about people getting in and messing with it. So that was earlier in the novel. So that it's easy to get into these systems. So they get in, their files are being all messed up, their computers are being messed up by the boys, and being hit and basically bullied by these older boys into acting right or not going to practice with Ender. Who starts the fight in the practice room, and how does it start? The older boys come in. They start taunting the launchies. The launchies again start. Ender tells them, instead of getting mad, just chant them back to them. Make them get angry. So they do. They come at them, and the launchies, because they're used to working as a team, they are basically like a small Ender's army. So they know how to work together, and they do. It ends with them basically kicking their butt. Ender kicks a boy in the nose and makes his ear, or excuse me, in his ear and his shoulder, and makes his ear bleed. The other boy's injuries are listed in the medical report as an accident and not as the fact that Ender beat the crap out of him, but it was an accident. How many boys show up for Ender's practice the night after the fight? It started out as 12, and now he's got 45 people coming because of this. What does Valentine do for Ender's birthday? It's a little side. We get sort of a side note. We hadn't heard from Valentine in a while, and so we get to see her back on Earth and what's going on with her. And she lights a fire, scratches his name in the dirt, and gives a little offering up to him. What does Peter do to the squirrel? This is just another sign about how nasty and ugly Peter is. He skins it halfway, spikes it to the ground, and then watches it die slowly. Or Valentine says she imagines he's sitting on his computer, just hanging out on his desk, just in the woods, watching the squirrel die. And since Ender has left, Peter has really had they moved to the country, and the whole family moved, and Peter was seen as sort of having almost a redemption, that he goes and becomes a better person. But she says, Valentine says, I see through this. I see what he does. He's acting good at school. He's well behaved. He's well mannered. But then he gets into the woods and he skins alive squirrels. So there is some issue here with him. We don't have a lot of questions about this, but at this point we get Valentine and Peter, and they decide on Earth to come up with these pen names, Locke and Demosthenes, to write like they're adults, because they are very, very, very smart, just like Ender is, and they're going to pose as adults, trying to stir up political thought in the country, and it works to a large extent. They get into the system and they post things. This book was written in 1977, but how up to date is this, that he's talking about the nets, publishing things on the nets, almost like a modern blogging system, or some sort of threads or feeds or discussion board posts on political thought. Interesting side. Her strong point is that she's good at convincing people of her points, and she knows this, and Peter knows this, and he needs that side. He's very good at eliciting fear out of people, but she's good at convincing people in a logical and more passive way, and so he wants what she's got, and she feels like she can use him to a certain extent, because she can control him, she thinks, without him being such a monster. Back to Ender, and what army does Ender command at Tune at the age of 9? He's given the Phoenix Army. I think it's interesting how many elements of fire imagery there are here in Ender's Game at this point. I didn't realize it really until I went to go started looking up images for the PowerPoint presentation. But over and over again, these images of fire. If you don't know what a phoenix is, it's a mythical bird that um, burns itself every so many years and then rises and is reborn out of the ashes of its own destructive force. So um, those fire images. How do the boys at Battle School treat Ender? They now respect him, whereas before they teased him, they bullied him. He was that underdog, and now he is respected, saluted. Um, he says he's sick of respect almost, that they give him too much. Even the teachers respect him. What does Valentine send to Ender after speaking with Colonel Graff? He asks her to write a letter, and she does. He basically forces her into it, but she writes it, telling Ender that he isn't like Peter. They're worried about him because he's stuck in the fantasy, the mind game, going over and over and over and over again to this same part at the end of what they coined the end of the world in Fairyland. Once they get past Fairyland into the end of the world, and it's a room in which a snake comes out of the rug, uncoils itself, and uh, he looks into the mirror and he sees, instead of himself, he sees Peter. And it's this idea of, am I violent? Um, am I really like Peter? Peter's evil. He told me he was going to kill me at the beginning of the novel. He is vicious, and I'm not. Am I? Am I vicious? Am I hitting people? I'm hitting people. Do I have that killer instinct in me, just like Peter? And he's stuck almost in his own mind. That game, that fantasy, that mind game is almost like a internal conflict for him um, that he has to get past. And Graff knows this. He knows that he's stuck. He knows he's in this place where he's stuck within himself. And so he goes to that person that he knows Ender loves, which is Valentine, to try to pull some strings. And it works to some extent because even though he knows that the letter is fake, or not fake but forced, it still gives him that understanding. So the snake instead turns into Valentine. They leave together through the mirror, and he breaks free of that end of the world. Um, all of that being perhaps symbolism or all kind of deep stuff you could go into there. How many of Ender's night practice soldiers are in his new army? None. He knows nobody. They've given this new army to control. They're all younger than him. It's a new army. They called it the Dragon Army. Again, that fire image of the fire-breathing dragon. It was discontinued 4 years ago, supposedly, because they lost so badly. Everyone began to think of them as a joke. So, how does Ender organize his barracks? He does it opposite of what is usually expected. The veterans to the back, the newer soldiers to the front. And this is possibly a sign that he's going to be doing things differently, showing these boys that things are different. Who does he single out during practice? Bean. He treats him like Graff basically treated Ender at the beginning. Exactly. Singling him out, isolating him, showing him by showing the other kids that Bean is better than them. He does. Now Bean calls him out on this. He says, "I see your game, and don't play games with me. I want to be a toon leader, and you need to, don't be messing around with me." And Ender questions himself. Why have I done this? Why did I pull him out like that? And sort of understanding himself as a leader. Why can't Ender practice during free time with his friends? Anderson is the leader of the school. Anderson has changed the rules so that only members of the same army can use the battle room during the free time. Not the leader, excuse me. Anderson's the leader of the commander school later, but he changes the rules of the game here. Why doesn't Ender go to his army's barracks? This is again that sign of a leader. What does it mean to be a leader? It means to be isolated, separated from the men, giving them not just leadership, but giving them some time, some downtime where they are resting, where they're peaceful. And he is their leader. And what does that mean? That means a lot of different things. What does salam mean? Shalom. Oh my goodness. I've got all kind of typos on here. I fix that. Shalom means peace be unto you, and it's Hebrew, and it kind of harkens back to that idea about religion being banned, forbidden, and this is sort of a secret word, something secret that was passed down, and a connection that he has with Ali. Who does Ender want to defeat? He wants to defeat the teachers. He calls them his enemies. They have lied to him, they have manipulated him, and he feels that they have done him wrong on a lot of different levels. So that's it.